It's great to watch it again on a bigger screen than your little computer. It really makes a difference. But I was thinking that one of the most important things that we teach, you, me, and all the teachers and everybody, is listening. And you were a fabulous listener.
Thanks.
I mean, it's what's interesting to me. You can watch people talking, and they just watch you, Jack, and all of a sudden we don't need to listen to anything. You're just full of kindness and openness, and you're obviously the shrink for everybody that's in that, the shrink, right? And I think that's such a lesson for everybody when you all are so worried about lines and getting all the words out. And where do we take our attention to? We take our attention to people that listen. So I think that that's really something, right? Yeah. So I have some questions that Hamish put together. Thank you. I shall try to read them. He's all to blame for these, not me. Okay, first one, whatever. When did you decide to make your own content?
The strike. So the strike happened 2 years ago, and I go to a coffee shop in my neighborhood called Cafe de Leche a lot, and so I just happened to be there one day and decided to write. At the time, I was really teaching a lot of people piano lessons. And so I had actually just had an experience resembling the episode of Jonas, which is the kid who with the retainer.
Loved him.
And that it is inspired by something that actually happened to me, which is the kid. It's actually much heightened. It's much more heightened in what actually happened to me, but the kid was just really misbehaving and took out his disgusting retainer, and he wound up and threw it at me. And mom and dad were like fighting in the kitchen. Like it was like a whole scene because I was like a traveling piano teacher at the time, and so I was like, "Whoa, what's this? This is crazy." So I just sat down and I wrote that episode. I just wrote it out.
It's like a Kramer versus Kramer kind of thing.
Yeah.
Don't put it there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Don't.
Yeah.
And then I just kept on writing. I wrote like 10 or 12 episodes and realized that I had something. We had something, and so I decided to make a GoFundMe. We raised some money, and we got the ball rolling.
Amazing job. What was it like to pull from your own experiences? It's a good one, Hamish.
I think it's the only way to do it, right?
Yeah, I
think you have to sort of like look to you first. You have to sort of see what kind of voice you have, but also what you would like to say and what you would like to share. I will say it was almost easy. I've never written anything like that. I had never done that. I've always been an actor, so just to sort of sit down and be like, okay. I mean, I read thousands of scripts, over the years, especially in art. You were always looking at scripts, and so I knew how to do it. But to sort of look within and just go, I actually feel like I already know who this character is, and I think, and it just kind of flowed, So
I think the thing that I was saying in the beginning when I was, waiting for him to get started, I think that it's interesting thing to me is always, when you find something that you're passionate about, music is passion for everybody. And they were always fascinated by the whole industry of music anyway. And when you see it, you just can see it in your eyes when you're watching, and when you're watching you watch them and teach them. I think we all must have something, right, that we could be passionate about, that we could do something. Start writing, everyone.
Yeah.
We'll show it at the Margie Haber studio.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is for both of you. What was it like working together as a married couple? How'd that go for you?
It was hard.
Yeah. Reality.
No, it was great. It was great. It was
They've
great.
been married for 19 years. But
We've been together 21 years. Yeah.
21, sorry. I lied by 2.
Yeah.
21.
23, we don't count the first
Okay,
two.
first 2.
It was delightful. It was great. I was writing a lot. I was writing a lot of sketches for Groundlings and working on other things, and he had never written, and I think he was like, I'm going to go to this cafe and write some of these experiences. And I was like, well, go do that. And it was almost kind of like, I need space, just go. Leave. And then he came home and he was like, well, I emailed you a few things. And I was like, oh, that's good. And then I was like, oh, you wrote like little, and a lot of them are variations of the story. I mean, it was fun directing them because I remember him coming home from the lessons and being like, this woman went off on me. This kid threw his retainer at me.
Yeah.
So it was almost like having like a scenic backing in my mind, and then seeing the scripts where you obviously like heighten and change and alter whatever. But what the kid did to him is leagues. It was so gross in truth, and on the page I said, he cannot do all that.
Yeah.
He just needs to do the retainer. It was so gross, but it was great working together. And then when we shot it, it just felt like it felt for me like it went just so smooth. Over 2 days we shot it.
Super smooth. David was my first choice. We've made small things here and there, but he has an ability like there are certain things that I know that I don't know how to do, and that's okay. So I knew that he has an eye. So like he has an eye for framing, and he's an eye, and he can speak the vernacular with the DP. So it was great as the producer and the creator to be like, I'm going to give that to somebody else. I don't want that. That's not. Oh, hi, Chris. Yeah. It's not. That's not something that I know how to do, and that's okay. So you just siphon off those responsibilities, and I think that that's something that we learned while making this, which is
I love the
really
framing.
important.
I loved what you did with the framing. I thought that it's an interesting part of filmmaking is the story and the actors and the creators, and then the way we see it in the eyes of the filmmaker. It's really, it's quite nice.
We looked out with our DP. A good friend of ours is a DP. He shot like Bosch and Fear the Walking Dead and a few other things.
Yeah. Oh.
And me and him started writing a pilot together, and we realized, we kind of like speak some similar languages. And then randomly we asked him, we thought he was going to be here, and he was like, I can't shoot this, and I'm heartbroken. He was like, why don't you meet my friend? And again, it's one of those connection lessons where it's like, and we met this guy thinking maybe and he's like, we've gone to dinner. He's like the loveliest human. Has a great eye,
Yeah,
he put together a crew for this. He put together a crew for this. You remember those horrible floods like a year ago when everything shut down? Yeah. We had all the gear. It was that was the weekend.
I know, we talked about the hurricane.
Yeah, we talked about the hurricane.
Told him he can't do it that weekend. Yeah. I said, hey, I don't think you can do it that week, Jack.
Yeah.
This is a bad time to do it.
And we got every person on the crew, every actor, and him a week later to agree to do it, which was like a small miracle, So he was great. He's the reason it all looks that way.
Well, you really had a great cast. I know, so you mentioned FundMe last time. So how did you go about doing that?
Oh, the GoFundMe,
Yeah.
That was actually one of the more nerve-wracking things to do because you
ask for money.
Are asking people for money, right?
Money. Anybody here?
You have to. We had to make the video, and you have to sort of fill the page out and sort of like pitch. You have to pitch this to the world and not be self-conscious about it. So that was a strange thing. We decided to do it. I think we went on vacation the next day, which is a family vacation that we always go on. And I just spent the whole vacation on the computer because I was just so wanting it to go well. And we ended up raising a good amount of money, which was really, we were lucky. We were just lucky that people sort of like, even GoFundMe, the company itself donated. They were like, we really like this project, and they gave us $300, and I was like, thank you, GoFundMe.
I have to tell you that I did do one FundMe.
And yes, you did.
Do you know what my FundMe is? No, not you, for you. I did my own FundMe.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I did. I wanted to tell you that. I have done one FundMe, and I don't think Hamish knows this. I know, that too.
There's no go.
I have fun funning.
Just FundMe, come on.
Hamish does not know this. But when I got married, and my wife and I got married 10 years ago. Yes, 10 years ago. 10 years ago. I did a FundMe for my honeymoon.
For your honeymoon? Yeah,
thank you. All my friends gave me a trip to Hawaii. It's quite nice. So I say always ask for the FundMe for Hawaii.
Yes.
And I did a really good job. I made a lot of money on that wonderful trip. Okay, this is for you.
But I will say, I'll say just to sort of like continue it, but briefly, because we were able to raise a lot of money, not like massive, but like enough to get insurance, enough to pay everybody. So everybody that was worked on this, that was the most important thing for me and for us, was that everybody was paid.
Nice.
And it was not like a gobs amount of money. It was during the strike. We got special permission from the union, SAG-AFTRA, to sort of film this because it was a minuscule budget, and they were like, you're not striking that contract, so you can work under this contract, which is how we were able to get all those great actors. They're all SAG-AFTRA, SAG union actors. And so it was just so, like, I would do that again in a heartbeat, like, raise the money, make sure we have the money to
pay them,
to pay people.
No one should do it for free. I agree. So David, did you say this is your first time directing or not?
I directed. I haven't directed on film. I've directed a lot of stuff on stage.
It's the first time you directed film, so was
Yeah.
it different for you? How was that for you?
I mean, I do a lot of I do a lot of content. I mean, I do a lot of like stupid characters and wigs,
I could
you
hear.
know, like, and I edit. So I've always like, I think in that way. But yeah, this was the first time I directed actors for the camera. Yeah, and it was. I mean, they were all so great. They were so great and so easy. And like, you know, you learn so much on the fly. Like the last episode with Dominique, like that was a script where all of a sudden we realized that it wasn't working. Like it just didn't come together, and we only realized we wanted these 5 to work in a continuum that felt a little like an ending. So literally on the fly, you know, that was like the craziest lesson I had as a from probably you too. You did too, because we were running away, and I was like, da da da. And I was like, Dom, how do you feel? And Dom is a mom, the actress at the end. So we were actually asking her like, what's your experience? And we were able to ask the actor, hey, he's trying to connect his experience as an artist to yours as a mother, as people that have created something and aren't feeling supported. What feels right or wrong to you about this? And she was like, okay. And it was like one of those crazy directing moments where like the job was directing, but in that moment it was such like it was crazy. It was, and it was like I couldn't have directed that without like her as an actor and a mother with her experience.
You know, it's
Jack
interesting you
is
mentioned
someone
that. I'm working with someone right now who's directing, starring, producing his own film, and he has it. It's all being done. It's all been financed. And one of the things in working with him was the concept of, as I'm working with him as an actor, I work with him, and then I worked with him as a director, directing the actors. And I said the best thing you can tell anybody, I think always, is to hope and pray you live in the unknown and not be controlled by everything, because the creativity and the beauty of what happens is things you have absolutely no idea is going to happen. And then when you go with it, like in class, you know, then we'll do something in class, and all of a sudden we do this outtakes, and people always at the end of a movie, what do? They want to wait for the outtakes, right? Because it's so much fun. And those outtakes are gems of moments of just truth. And so when you can do that, and you can let go of control as a director or as an actor or anything, it's the best time, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the improv really comes into play. I mean, you hear improv and you think, oh, like acting improv. No, like improv has tentacles that stretch out to what everyone has to do on a set.
Right.
You know, the DP, the caterer, has to like on the fly. Who's his sister? Who's his sister? Really? But yeah,
keep it in
like,
the family.
Yeah, like being nimble in that way. Yeah.
So did you have like a favorite part of the process, like from both of you, from like beginning to end? What was your favorite part of the process of it?
Do you want to go?
Yeah, mine was probably Leo is our nephew, the little boy.
Oh, he's so cute, or what? I want to put him in my class. I don't teach him.
I
don't teach that young, but he's adorable.
He's great.
So cute.
And he's like
so cute.
He'd acted before that, and he'd done some Disney things, and he did a little movie called Fast X. And you know, the stuff he had done was one of those, like, you know, Disney stuff, kid stuff, like
right.
say it like this.
Yeah.
Wow, what a crazy sleepover. Like that like Nick Jr. like thing. So like I knew that he would be great, but like that was really cool to like be with him and see him just like get into it. Like this is the first time we've watched it with so many people that you know a lot of these people. I don't know you. But like, you know, you don't really know us in the way that you know like our language, how we communicate, so it was interesting to watch it and watch him through other people's eyes and be like, oh, that's his choice. Like I think I took for granted until watching it again, and I loved it when I was working with him. I was like, oh, like you're 10, but you're making a choice. Like the way an actor, the way like we all makes choices, you know, versus like I'm telling you to do it this way, and that's probably just because he's just an awesome little human being.
So he was
that
open.
Was special.
So did he have his own lines, or was that improvisational?
No, I mean it was scripted.
It was scripted,
but he played with.
But he played with it though.
He played with it. Yeah, like there was one thing tonight where he was like. I never heard there's my mom says I'm an outrage, that I always imagined it as really like a little kid, like bragging. And he was so matter of fact about some of the lines, and I was like, oh, we're just gonna do that.
Yeah.
Keep doing that, you know?
Yeah.
So that was really special. That was probably one of my
favorites. I really loved him. Yeah, I thought it was adorable. He had to come over, I've got to give him some ice cream and cookies and feed him the good stuff when he comes over to the house. As long as he takes off that retainer.
Yeah.
Is there anything in the studio? Oh, this is About me, I guess. Let me read this one.
We'll see.
Is there anything, let me do the phrasing. Is there anything from the studio, Margie's class, and me, you learned? Is there anything you learned from me, darling, that helped you with your whole experience?
Well, I will say we already actually talked about maybe the answer to this question, which was right in the beginning when you said, listening, right?
Yeah.
Wearing all those hats on a set was super new, and so, that was one of the highlights for me. I actually really found a joy of being a producer and sort of just putting it all together and making sure everybody had what they needed. And then of course my acting, my creating kind of took a sidestep until I literally would be sitting in the chair with the camera in front of me and I would go, oh right, I'm Sean now, and I'm teaching Jonas, and I'm remembering some of the lines, and I'm remembering, and there were many times when I just stopped myself from trying to remember, and I just went, all you gotta do is listen.
Yeah.
That's it, that's all we have to do right now. And I tell this to my students all the time, right? We prepare, we create, we hope that it's all gonna work out, and that is just gonna get in our way. You just gotta let it all go, and in that moment, you just say to yourself, I'm gonna trust that it's all gonna work out. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't matter. You could actually find magic in those mistakes. And so we probably found a ton of magic in those mistakes. And so I would say, one of the things that you are always talking about is listening. It's one of the core tenets of the studio, and how powerful it is. No matter how overwhelmed you could feel, you can always just breathe and go, I just need to listen. That's all I gotta do.
And I also think that one of the major things of the studio, which we all know, those who are here, is that we're relationship. We connect with relationship.
Sure.
We're guided, not controlled by relationships, but guided by relationships. It's a different word. It's not all about relationship, but it's a connection that allows us to just journey from there. Yeah. And so I thought, and I also think there's a lot of you in it. You may have Sean, but there we are again. There's Jack within you, and then there's Sean around you, because you, who I know very well, I saw a lot of you within it, and I think that was what was lovely. It wasn't playing a character. You don't have to go that far. People go, oh, I'm going to play this character, but he's not that much different from you. Maybe Sean has a little difference than you are, but where was it different than you?
Who, Sean?
Yeah.
He's very similar to me. I mean, there's no question.
So I'm saying there wasn't that much difference. So it really wasn't stepping in so much to Sean. It was stepping into the circumstances of what you were living in.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he is that way. Yeah. Now, if you played somebody who was an asshole, then we would have to discuss the whole thing.
I can do that. I can play an asshole.
I remember one time in class. Oh, no. No, he used to be a little defensive in the very beginning.
Wow.
Okay. What are the
I was,
yeah, it's true. Yeah. But what's interesting is when you begin to learn, and when you're studying, and then you're going into the master class, which is what he's in, and then you're with people that are so damn talented. We were just talking about, I'm going to New York to visit my students, I swear. I love them in New York. It can be intimidating in the beginning because you want to do well. I think that's what happens, and maybe you feel the same way anyway, no matter what level. Don't you think you wanted to do well in class in the beginning? Because I took you from the Monday to the Wednesday. I'm the Master Wednesday class, and in the beginning, but then that went away, right?
Oh yeah, hopefully pretty quickly. I think it did. Yeah.
But it was interesting. We have our defensives that come up, our fear. We're all afraid. Nobody is. I think it's really sad when you think these teachers that you think these guru teachers, they're afraid. Everyone's afraid. So I think that's what happens.
Yeah.
All right, on to the next. What are the plans for piano lessons in the future? What do you hope to achieve?
We've submitted to festivals over the past 6 months. Right now it's up for 3. And I'm not holding my breath. Festivals are quite difficult to get into. Even the smallest, most insignificant ones, will just say no, and you're like, wow, I thought that was a sure bet, but okay.
Do you ever get any input about what could help or not help?
No.
Nothing. So
No.
it's just
a no. It's like auditioning, right? You just you put yourself out there and hope it sticks. So So we're not waiting. And I've created a YouTube channel. There's going to be a massive social presence, of course.
And everyone here can mention it in their social.
If you would like to, please. Please.
Please, I say all of you are here in New York. Go ahead.
And we're just going to put it out there. We made something years ago when we first moved here, and it never saw the light of day. And I regret it, and so I'm sort of I'm just determined to sort of like put ourselves out there, and
I just kind of
and
always
put it
wonder, why there wouldn't be like some kind of feedback with some of these places that are small that can say, you know what, I love this piece of it. If you could cut this piece, or you could change this around, it might improve it or something like that. I'm surprised they don't have anything like that.
I mean, I think I was actually a juror for a film festival last year, the Santa Clarita Film Festival. I was asked to do it, which was super strange. I'd never done anything like that before, and they gave me a bunch of things to watch. And it was shocking how bad some of them were. And I was like, oh wow. And then there were some truly wonderful ones, and so there's we just got a text from someone today who is a juror on the first round of one of the festivals, and they said they took a screenshot of David and myself actually, and he's like, I was on the first round, and I got to watch your show. And so it's round based. It's just like just random people are watching them saying yes or no. And if you are lucky enough to have someone say yes, then it goes to the next round.
It's a shame.
It's a
shame. I'm going to ask Susan Fenniger, my friend Susan Fenniger. I mean, whether she, certain. I think they should, don't you think? It gets it's an educational mind that I have. If somebody gave this to me, I would love to be able to say, this was really working in this,
Yeah.
What advice do you have for anyone here who would like to make their own content?
I've been talking a lot. Do you want to go?
I love the sound of your voice.
They must be married. They must be happily married. That's so sweet. Okay.
Look, I think there's nothing wrong with just loving what you do and enjoying it, but I do think like planning some kind of like flag in the future ground for yourself, like, I love this and I'm getting to work collaboratively with people I appreciate and are talented and this is fun. But I think, what is it for? Like, is it for a festival? Is it a proof of concept for a pilot? Like, I just think it's important to make a thing, and it can be singular and special, and you just know in your heart you want to do it. But also, like, what can it grow into? Like, I think that's a really important thing to ask yourself, And it's fine if your why is just, I'm an artist, man. I love it. Fuck yeah. That's I guess how I think of artists. Yeah, shit. And you've got the good shit, I heard. Oh, we're doing such great weed space work. Okay. But
Hamish has never tried. Never tried.
I love the idea that in this world we just throw a roach around.
Throwing a lit one. Yeah.
But I think that's important because we're getting into festivals, but we also wrote a half-hour pilot. So for the deck we're making of it, these shorts serve as kind of like a proof of concept. Because the show can't just be a whole season of lessons. So we're writing something that's more about like Sean as a protagonist and different people that he deals with. So I think that's important. That helps me to think of what is the deadline, what is the next step, what is the thing I want outside of.
Yeah, but I think it's almost like in any career, and all the careers that you have, it's like what's realistic, what's a goal that makes me happy, what's a goal. And I think it's also there's things like a year, 2 years, 5 year kind of thing, right? That we kind of do. But I think it's kind of important that everybody has the structure. I talk a lot about that as an acting coach, and as we do in the studio, that the structure. Like if you have structure, you have the 10 steps, or you have whatever, and then it can be messy. So you want structure, but you want to be messy. And I think in all of what everyone else does in this world, you have to decide, okay, I want to have both. I want to have creativity and messy and something, but then I have structure. And what does that mean to you, I think, structure?
It is that weird back and forth, right? Like have a goal, be organized, know what you want, but also it's kind of like if you build it, they will come, right? Like sometimes you just follow your heart, you make a weird thing. You don't know you want to write a half-hour pilot in a deck, but you have these short, so yeah.
You never know. And I also think you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I'm in my 6th deck decade, you never would have told me that I'd be doing this. I mean, I wasn't going to do that. So you just have to open the door and then go through it, and and allow yourself to go through it and say fuck it. Because if you don't go through it and you stay in neutral, which is what my book's about, don't stay in neutral, right? Go through the door, you'll never find out what these guys have, which is that they can create something.
Yeah.
And that is something I think everyone should, how wonderful to be able to create it, that you did that.
Yeah.
To validate that. You do it first for yourself and then for others, I think. If you have, we have like two questions we ask?
Yeah.
Two, okay,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
go ahead.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm one of Jack's students, super inspiring in general.
Thanks.
I was just going to ask, did you know all of the actors that were cast in it, or did you go through like the whole auditioning process?
A good question.
Great.
We knew them all
We knew them all.
from different.
Were they
Yeah.
friends, like people you knew?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so cool. So you didn't have to audition, you just picked people that you knew?
We
It's interesting. A piano student, me, a co-groundling,
Yeah.
friend of ours, but
Friend of
mainly
ours,
yours,
yeah, we-
and our
Your
nephew.
and my
Yeah.
nephew. Yeah.
So we just
And
kind
that's
of.
why
yeah.
you didn't get asked.
Yeah. Well,
No, really.
the first one, Julie is a friend of mine, but she was I met her because she was a student of mine. She like a piano
there you
student.
go. Okay.
And she's an unbelievable actress.
Yeah,
she's
she
been on
is.
Broadway.
yeah,
She's
she was
like
great.
Handmaid's Tale, 6 Feet Under. It's
been-
crazy. Like
yeah.
this, it was one of those like, oh, there's a strike.
there's like
I mean, sorry, but like, but I
that's what
do,
it- yeah,
I
yeah.
do wonder. Like she loved doing the work, and she was so happy to be there, and she's a dear person. But if there wasn't a strike, I don't. She's
Yeah.
she's out there. She's
Yeah.
busy. So
her
she
her
was
husband co-created Breaking Bad. So
Oh,
like
what
they're
was that
like
show? I never heard that
somewhere
show.
else, right? Yeah.
Breaking Good?
Yeah.
Anyone else want to ask a
Thanks,
question?
Shannon.
Yes,
Yeah.
in the back there, and then we'll do one more.
I know they said that it was scripted, but did you guys intend it to like have all these emotions into those shorts? Like sadness, anger, and then
Yeah, there's something that Davian I think is really wonderfully good at, and I am very drawn to, which is what we call like hugging them and
Hug 'em and hit 'em.
hugging them and hit 'em. And so
salty and sweet.
exactly
whatever.
right, like
Yeah.
having that beautiful mix of comedy and drama, humor, irony, like all of this stuff, but like all rooted and grounded and real people, And so the funny I think is kind of built into the scenarios, but we wanted to make sure the people were real too, and we wanted to make sure that that Chelsea at the very end, that it was okay to have a serious episode. It was okay to have someone come in who's really going through something,
Yeah.
because it's a slice of life, right? Like it's
Slice of life,
yeah.
great line.
But also that being said, thank you all for coming, because we've had 2 or 3 of these, and we've known most of the people. They've been friends of people in the cast, and tone is a weird thing, right? Like I went to a meeting with someone the other day, and they were like, "We love your writing, but right now we're just doing comedies, or it's drama, or it's horror. We don't want any of this. Like we need to tell the audience what it's like. Everyone's getting dumber by the minute."
Yeah.
Shh, I didn't say that. And that's a tricky thing with tone, because with an audience, so it was so fun tonight, for example, to see you laugh so much at the beginning of Dom's
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
Because this is the first I was like, oh, they laugh at that.
They laugh.
Yeah.
She's not just a sad, broken mother. You know what I mean? like that humor is in there. So
Well,
I love that.
when I say
Yeah.
from a coach point of view, is that the authenticity of the reality of it. What you're doing, in answer to that question from my point of view, is that life is filled with sadness, pain, fear, love. It's all core, right? And then we mask with humor. And the irony is on top. Irony is the very top. Then comes anger, and comes pain and sadness and whatever. But that's the way human beings behave. And what's great is when you can take those lines and you have the script, but live a human's life and not make the lines important, but the behavior important, and the thoughts important, and the experience is important. So what I felt from watching, like I loved the first one, was I really felt like she was in pain, but we find a lot of times we laugh when we cry when we laugh. It's what we do in life. It's the way life is. And if you want to be actors, or I call it creators, you're going to live a human being's life. You're not going to live an actor's life.
Just to piggyback off of that, with the influencer episode, I don't know why I'm thinking about this, but when we cast Chase, they came and they brought their own very specific interpretation of that character.
Like that was not the
And
way that existed in our minds.
in
on
our
the
mind,
page
and
at
so
all.
it was sort of just like, oh,
Yeah.
what do we do? And we just said yes to it. We said, okay, great, you know.
And it's also not what they do as an actor. Like, I mean, you know, it's funny, you cast people, once you start to know an actor, you're like, look, I don't know what you're gonna do, but I know you'll make an offer. I know you will make a choice. And I thought I knew the choice that Chase would make. And Chase made a totally different offer that
Interesting.
was so funny and different than anything. That stillness, that was not at all.
Right.
I imagine bags and jingling and blah, blah, and honey, girl, bitch. No, you know. And,
which actually was it was inspired by a student from here. Actually, who is, I mean, it's like 2 years ago, but I remember thinking, no, he's lovely, but he would come into
Yeah.
the room with like all the things, and be like, girl,
shopping
everything.
bags and like, yeah.
Woo, you know, like I was just
Yeah.
at Coachella, and I'd be like, oh, you know.
I do find out
Yeah.
interesting because working with this guy Jake, who's the writer of this movie,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm working on his acting and directing. He is the way he sees as a writer, and then he says, and then I work with him. And he said, I didn't even think of that, and I wrote the script, and I never thought of that.
Yeah.
I didn't even imagine what you're imagining. How do you? I said because I'm channeled by some up there. I have no idea. But it's truth.
But isn't
That's
that
true, you
great?
know that. I'm
Yeah.
channeled. And it's really wild because, but the truth of it is, the writer sees it some way, and you people, all of you as
Yeah.
actors, fill in with your imagination, with which is limitless, your experiences, which is limitless, and then and then the writer, ironically, Jake said, I had no idea. If we didn't create this, I would have never known that that's what I really wrote about.
That's
All right.
interesting. Yeah.
Oh, I promised one guy right here.
Yeah.
See, I promised you.
Jack and David, well done. I appreciate
Thanks.
the short form. It's kind of interesting. I guess my question to jump to it is when you sat down at the day at the cafe, were you writing long form and then you edited into a script, or was it something that kind of flowed in the progression that we saw it? And how long did it take
Good
to
question.
shoot those 5 episodes?
It was always just basically slices, like scenes. Like I would just sort of sit down and imagine the start of the lesson, and then I would just begin, and I would give myself an hour and a half to 2 hours, and just write. And sometimes, like one episode is just literally 1 page, and then another episode is like 7 pages, which I think was one of the first ones I sent David, and it's a very disgusting episode, and it involves a child being really disgusting, like even worse than Jonas. Like my brain went crazy, and he was like, "We cannot do that." He's like,
I'm
read
sorry
it,
that
it was-
happened to you, but no one wants to see that on film.
and it didn't happen to me. It actually didn't happen to me, and it was a good lesson because it was like
Doesn't
me
mean it
kind of
works.
going
Doesn't mean it
crazy.
works for you.
Didn't really work, and so I was like, well, let me remember. Oh, that kid who threw his retainer. Why don't I write about that? And then real quick, we chose 5. We decided to shoot it over a weekend and hired a crew. And then the Friday of so the hurricane was going to start coming. This is almost 2 years ago. I don't know if you guys remember. And it was going to drop on a Sunday, and we were supposed to start filming on that Sunday for 2 days. And I was talking to Margie. I left class, and I was like, Margie, I think, because I called you to thank you because you had donated, and I said, and I also think I can't shoot this weekend. I mean, this is like 2 to 3 months of prep. Suddenly,
Getting
the
ready for
world
that
saying
particular time, yeah.
you can't do it, and so I sat in my car right over there on Detroit for 2 hours. I called every vendor, I called every actor, I called every crew, and I said, we're not shooting in 2 days. We're going to shoot in 9 days. Are you free? And everybody was free.
Just lucky. It
It
was
was-
meant to be.
It
And
was
I was
wild.
halfway through unloading a whole like U-Haul truck full of all the rental lighting gear into the house.
Into the
And we
house.
called the place, and what was
And-
that place? I want to blow them
It's
up.
called
because-
Nickel something.
And they said, yeah, this is unforeseen. Why don't you just not bring it back?
Just keep it.
Keep it at your house for a week and shoot with it. We won't charge
Yeah.
you anything at all.
And we were on strike, so they
Yeah.
didn't need this,
Again.
They didn't need it. They were like, just keep it.
Yeah.
So we kept everything. We had another week of prep, and then we shot it in 2 days. And we actually, that's our apartment, so we just shot it in our apartment. Yeah.
And bye, folks. This is the way we end. It's all about humanity. It's all about community. It's it's all about taking care of yourselves and really enjoying your life.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.